Welcome to the Big Tech Gut Check for the week of June 10th, 2024. I'm coming off of a hiatus from this episode last week. I was in DC for a few meetings and lobbying for Sammy's Law, and a big win. Representative Moulton of Massachusetts is now a Sammy's Law co-sponsor. Thank you to Representative Moulton and his team for supporting families in our fight to protect our children. You can learn more about Sammy's Law at sammyslaw.org. Let's stay with legislation for now because there was a big update out of New York. New York Governor Kathy Hochul has pushed through first-in-the-nation legislation to regulate social media feeds for younger kids. Now, Meta and Google were fighting these bills. They spent nearly $1 million lobbying against this legislation, but parents have won out. There are two bills that are passed in New York. The Stop Addictive Feeds Exploitation for Kids Act. This will prohibit algorithms on social media platforms like TikTok and Instagram for users under the age of 18. Instead, the social media companies will have to provide a reverse chronological feed for child users. This will take away a lot of the harmful content, a lot of the addictive content. It will also prohibit social media platforms from sending notifications regarding addictive feeds to minors between 12 a.m. and 6 a.m. without parental consent. The other bill is called the New York Child Data Protection Act and will keep children's personal data safe, prohibiting online sites from collecting, using, sharing, or selling personal data of anyone under the age of 18. This is really huge, and while I hope that other states will follow suit, we really need a federal standard when it comes to online safety and data privacy. You can watch my interviews with Senator Marsha Blackburn, Representative Kathy McMorris Rogers, or Representative Kat Cammack to learn more about federal bills like KOSA, COPPA 2.0, APRA, and others. I recommend you research these bills, and if you agree with the updates, voice your support. You can contact your representative in the House and your senators and ask them to support these online safety and privacy bills. Technology is advancing more rapidly than we can imagine, and we need to try to get ahead of the harms coming our way. Even remote communities are now accessing social media. For example, a remote Amazon tribe in Brazil named the Marubo tribe got connected to Elon Musk's Starlink internet service about 9 months ago. Initially, the internet was heralded as a positive for the remote tribe who were able to quickly contact authorities for help with emergencies like potentially deadly snake bites. But the Marubo tribe is now sharing that that community has been torn apart by social media and porn addiction. Tribespeople became so addicted that the Marubo leaders fear their history and culture, which is passed down orally, could be lost forever. They have now limited access to the internet for 2 hours each morning and 5 hours each evening and all day on Sunday, which still seems excessive to me. Yet this is another example that more tech isn't always a good thing, especially when we're using it as a toy and not a tool. Now, an update related to social media platforms trying to further addict our children. TikTok has announced that they are testing Snapchat-like streaks. If you are not familiar with streaks, it's a gamified function within Snapchat that pressures users to participate in daily interactions with their connections. The more consecutive days you interact with others, the higher your streak number. What a better way to addict our children and drive profits than to reward them for continuing to come back? So TikTok is now testing the streak feature for select users. And here are the rules for TikTok streaks. You have to DM someone for more than 3 days in a row. Once you do that, you will get a streak badge displayed on the chat along with a number of streak days. A streak ends when neither person sends a message in the chat within 24 hours of the last message, and TikTok nudges people through a notification when their streak is about to end to try to keep it going. Again, encouraging addiction through gamifying their use. It's important to note that you can turn off the streaks feature by going to Settings, Privacy, to Notifications, and then Streak Settings. Let's dig further into new research about social media and internet addiction. A new study from this month has found that young people with internet addiction experience changes in their brain chemistry, which could lead to more addictive behaviors. The findings show that internet addiction can lead to potentially negative behavioral and developmental changes that could impact the lives of adolescents. For example, they may struggle to maintain relationships and social activities. They may lie about their online activity, even experience irregular eating or disrupted sleep. And according to the social media addiction scale, almost 25% of adolescents are social media addicts. We are very clearly seeing the connection between overuse of social media and the impact, the negative impact on their mental and physical health. Last up, I have to talk about Snapchat's latest campaign called Less Likes, More Love. What does this mean? I don't really know. What I do know is that Snapchat is trying to distance themselves from other social media companies. They're telling us, We are not social media. They are doing this because of all the bad press that social media is getting, the research about how harmful it is, how parents everywhere are realizing how bad social media use is for kids, and because there are laws coming soon that will regulate social media platforms. By saying we're not social media, they're trying to avoid having to follow these new online safety laws. So their new ad says Snapchat was designed to be different. It was never meant for people to compete for likes or to endlessly scroll through perfectly produced and carefully curated content. It's always been a place for real relationships, for spreading fun, joy, and love. Never meant for people to compete. Well, then why do you offer a top 8 and a solar system feature that literally ranks friends and pits them against each other? And if it wasn't meant for people to endlessly scroll, then why do you have a For You feed with an endless number of videos that are being algorithmically fed to our children in order to keep them on the platform for as long as possible? And if it was a place to spread fun and joy and love, then why are so many drug dealers on Snapchat and predators and groomers and sexual content? None of this makes sense to me. I'm not buying it. You might not either. Several parents have contacted me and said, I agree that Snapchat is bad for kids, but what do I do about it? One, don't let your kids access it. Encourage other messaging platforms like regular text messaging. If they're left out, I'm sorry. Better left out than sold a fentanyl pill and dead. Two, spread the word. Talk to other parents about how you feel and what your children are actually seeing and experiencing on Snapchat. This movement off of harmful platforms has to be widespread. And three, to bring it back to what I said at the beginning about kids' online safety bills, research them. Look into the Kids Online Safety Act. Once KOSA passes, Snapchat and other social media platforms will be able to be held liable if children are harmed by the content that they are served. Let's stay hopeful. Let's be the voice for change. Parents' voices are what's going to make a difference in this fight against big tech. That's it for this week on the Big Tech Gut Check here on Scrolling to Death. I will catch you next week.